Here we are. Hello and welcome to Paperwork Declutter, our 1 hour session today. It's Thursday, 3rd of July here in Melbourne, and it's 10 a.m. It's not too bad outside today. It's a little bit cool, but not as cold as we have had it. I bet it's a bit warmer wherever you are. If you're on the other side of the world, I did see somebody coming in just before from Florida, which I bet is a bit warmer than it is here in Melbourne. And excellent. And it looks like Pat is from Melbourne, Florida. Very cool. Hey, Pat, nice to see you. Thanks for coming. So we're going to go through and specifically talk about decluttering paperwork today. So we can use the chat, or if you'd like, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions. As I said, this will be recorded so that we can share it with other people that could register but couldn't make it in person today because, as I said, it's 10 o'clock here in Melbourne, Australia this morning, but it could be the middle of the night where you are. Let us know in the chat where you are joining us from and what you're looking forward to learning today. What is it about paperwork decluttering that's challenging? Let me know. Let's keep moving. Let's have a look at, as I said, what would you like to learn? Thank you very much for coming along. And why do you need to declutter your paperwork? And do you actually need to? We'll talk about that shortly. And I'll also share our upcoming sessions after today. So we've got another one in a fortnight, tackling doom boxes. So I'll talk to you more about that soon, and some more workshops on the way. So my business, Space and Time, is a decluttering and organising business based here in Melbourne. And it's all about making conscious choices with how we use our space and time. So rather than just go about doing things because that's the way we've always done it, we want to be able to make these conscious choices that suit us right now, that suit us in our current life, with our family members, no matter where we are and what is going to work for us right now, because things change often and we need to change how we do things. And we also look today at creating systems to make a simpler life in a complex world. I've asked a few times what your intention is, and that's really important. I'd like to know what your intention is. Share it in the chat, but it's also important for you as well. So you're listening out for the right information that's going to help you move towards that intention. So keep that in mind as we go along. And also, as I said, we're going to look at the upcoming workshops later in the session as well. So here I am. I'm Julie Cliff. I am a professional organizer and declutter coach. And before that, I was an executive assistant and administrator for 20 years. So helping others get and stay organized is in an office is something that I really enjoy doing, and found a group of professional organizers who I actually met with during the week. We do have monthly meetings to help just develop our businesses and learn about each other, learn about the industry. So there's all sorts of things that we share in those organisers meetings. And I met them over 10 years ago. My business just celebrated its 10th birthday. I have a group of girls that help hands-on organising here in Melbourne and in Geelong. And we're running sessions like this each fortnight online. So people from all around the world can join us. So why do we want to get organised? Well, in a nutshell, home organisation improves our quality of life and it decreases our stress. And the third one that we're really going to have a good look at today is it simplifies tasks. So being organised with our paperwork, with all of our things around us in our home, makes planning of tasks easier, makes organising tasks easier, and actually taking action on those important tasks. Let me just have a look at the chat, see who we've got joining us today. Thanks, Mary Lou, my awesome virtual assistant, joining us from the Philippines. Thank you so much. Hi, Sonia. She's joining from Miami Beach in Florida. Sounds lovely. And there's another one. And Alice, thanks Alice, joining us from Virginia. Fantastic. Thank you again for making the time. So we're going to have a look at the 6 steps of the space and time organizing system. Just in brief, the 6 steps are: number 1, stop more paperwork. In particular, we're looking at today, stop more paperwork coming in the front door in the first place. Second step, your commitment to being organized. Third step is sort the stuff. Fourth step, things you no longer need. That's the decluttering step. Then we're going to look at storage for your paperwork and also maintenance tools. How can we make managing our paperwork easier by doing little bits and pieces each and every day? Just a quick look at the chat before we head off again. Jasmine joining us from Melbourne. Thank you. Hi, fam. Just around the corner from me here in Melbourne as well. Thanks so much. All right, let's look at the first step of the space and time organizing system. So we are looking specifically at paperwork today and how we can tweak how we manage our paperwork to make life simpler. So the first step, stop the stuff, it is really a good place to do an audit, because we want to sort of see where we're at before we can move forward. So we're really going to spend a little bit of time on this preparation before we start to get rid of stuff and before we start to organize it. So this first step, let's have a think about, what is the big deal of having too much paperwork? Well, often there are piles all over the home. Sometimes there is literally piles and they're a trip hazard. And of course, piles of things make it really difficult to be able to find anything. And often if there's too much paperwork lying around, there's just too much to tackle. It's overwhelming and exhausting, and we just don't know where to start. So we're going to have a look at that today. Where can we start? We'll look at that specifically in the next step. So this one is really having a think about, where is all the stuff coming from? Where is the paperwork coming from? And let's stop more from coming in. And that last stop point there says that paperwork often mounts up because there is no process. So we want to have a think of a process today. What are we going to keep? What can we let go? And where are we going to store it? I was in a home yesterday that had lots of kids' artwork and bits of paper, lots of paperwork just in a box. And we sorted through it and had it nice and clear by the end of it. But the thing was that there wasn't an easy process to be able to, rather than put it in that box, what could we do with it instead? So we're going to look at those sorts of things today. So how can we stop more paperwork from coming in the front door? Well, firstly, we can unsubscribe to any paper that we are not reading, whether it's a magazine, whether it's a subscription to a newspaper, whether it's a medical journal, anything that you are not reading that is coming in and piling up and you are not getting a chance to look at, unsubscribe to it. Make sure it's not even coming in the house in the first place. But I say that, but also thinking, if you do want to be reading those newspapers and magazines, put it in the diary and make some time to action it. We'll be talking about that more in the next step. But, we often get these piles of things because there's no time to action what's in the pile. And sitting down and reading a magazine or a newspaper is one of those action steps that needs to be taken if that's what you want to do with your time. So what's another way we can stop more paperwork from coming in? Well, we can actually put a no junk mail sign on our letterbox so that the junk mail isn't finding its way in. So, we don't need to worry about the specials that are on at the supermarket. We can find them online, or when we write a shopping list, again, we can check the specials in an online catalogue. We don't need a printed catalogue. We probably don't need to know that the man down the street fixes our roof. If we need to find someone to fix our roof, we can look for that information. So we can be a little bit picky and choosy about our junk mail. Sometimes there are things that we want out of the junk mail, but if you are struggling and you're not getting to the junk mail, the advertising that comes in, put a no junk mail sign on your letterbox so that it just doesn't come in the house. Another great way to stop the amount of paper that's flying around the house is to use a notebook for writing yourself. This is my client notebook that I use, but we have one exactly the same. I should have brought it in with me. Exactly the same that we write, or I write notes to other members of our home. So I'll usually write on there to let the family know what time I'll be home in the afternoon when I come home from my clients, or any notes like, can you please hang the washing out, and those sorts of things. So by using a notebook, we can reduce the amount of paper we're using, because I'll often flip to the same page and just update, the time that I'm coming home, or find the page that says empty the dishwasher, that sort of thing. And also it's contained in one book, in one notebook, rather than pieces of paper sprawled all over the house, which I see every day in people's homes. Good luck in your exam today, darling. And it was 6 months ago. Keeping it in a notebook is a great way to contain paperwork and for it not to be all over the home, and it can be reused a lot. So highly recommend that for keeping notes that you want to refer back to, but also just those little fly by the night little notes to wish your household members happy exam, for example. Another way to stop more paperwork from coming in is to ask for all your utility bills to be sent to you via email. And I know email decluttering is a whole thing. Have a look at our YouTube channel. We just did digital decluttering a couple of weeks ago. We'll send a link out to that this afternoon. So if you don't need a paper copy of your utility bills, which we rarely do, just have them sent to you on email, or we can often log into the portal for that utility provider, so our electricity, our water, that sort of thing, and get the details of our account there. So we don't need the pieces of paper floating around. And another thing, paperwork that I see in people's homes all the time is receipts. And I say to people, you often can say no, particularly at the checkout for your groceries, that you don't need a receipt. Sometimes you could get it emailed to yourself. So you could say no to that receipt for a start, so you're not bringing it home. Or if you do need to bring it home, and maybe keep it for a couple of days and make sure all the food that you have bought at the grocery store is fine and you're not going to have to return it, just keep the receipts. You absolutely need to. Maybe it's a new pillow that you have purchased or something with a warranty. Keep those receipts. But if you just spent $3.50 on a bunch of bananas, once we've eaten those bananas, we don't need that receipt anymore. So we can be constantly thinking about, which receipts do we actually need to bring into the home. Say no to the cashier. We don't need a copy of the receipt, because some of these things that I've mentioned today, the newspapers, the magazines, the junk mail, notes written to people in the household, utility bills and receipts, these are things I see in piles and piles and piles in people's homes every day. So let's be a little more diligent and stop more from coming in, and so that then we can start to tackle some of the backlog and make it much easier for us to find those bits of paper we do actually need. Don't forget to ask any questions as we're going through. Have you got some suggestions? What do you do in your home to reduce the amount of paper that's floating around? What's working well for you? Have you unsubscribed to the local newspaper? Have you said no to receipts? Share it in the chat with us, or unmute yourself. Let us know if you have any questions, or if I say something that doesn't make any sense, ask for clarification as well, because my funny Aussie isms might not mean anything to you on the other side of the world. Let me just check the chat as well. Pat is just confirming about the other Melbourne, Florida. It's so cool. Thank you. Awesome. Let me check. There is another message there before we get on to the next one. Fam says digital invoices and receipts or subscriptions. My two favorite magazines, Money and Dare, I now read online. Good on you, Fam. That's so good. So rather than having the physical copies of these magazines hanging around your home now, you have digital copies. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else been doing that? All right, let's move on. Keep sharing your ideas. Love to hear it. Let me look at the second step, your commitment to being organized. Now, this step, again, we haven't organized anything yet. We haven't decluttered anything yet. We haven't, we haven't got anything sorted. We're really getting ourselves in the right mindset. We're changing how we think about our paperwork. And in this step, we're putting aside time to actually get the decluttering and the organizing done, and actually putting aside time to action the paperwork that is coming in. You might have some medical forms you need to fill out, or you might need to return something for the kids' school excursion, something like that, or action something that's in your in tray to do. So we want to put time aside to do this. And that's what your commitment to being organized means. It's putting time, scheduling time in your calendar to get started, and really continuing on that by using a weekly planner like this on the left. And Mary Lou will share our weekly timer with you as well, so you can start to plan out your day. Excuse me. And put the time in the calendar. Thank you, Mary Lou. Because if it's not in the calendar, it's not going to get done. So we're talking about, as I say, time to start the decluttering, but then ongoing time to make your action items of your paper really important. Just looking at that funny glare that's on my head from the light that's coming in the window. I'm sorry about that. And this one always reminds me as well, your commitment to being organized is using the timer as well. Put a timer on for 10 minutes and just start your sorting of your papers or actioning of your items. I heard a great story that Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, told on the Tim Ferriss show. And he said that when his daughter was learning how to do writing and storytelling and story writing, the daughter was saying, this is Jerry Seinfeld's daughter, that I'm going to sit down for the day and I'm going to get this stuff sorted out. And I'm going to write all day. And Jerry's going, that's crazy. That's not possible. You can't sit and write all day. And the same thing being with decluttering, we can't sit and declutter all day. Short, 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there is much easier to achieve and easier to keep up as well. And Jerry went on to continue with that story to say about having the timer on. You wouldn't invite a personal trainer over to help you get fit. And you say to him, oh, what time does this session start? So he goes, oh, no, it's ongoing. We just keep going and going and going. That wouldn't happen, and that would be unacceptable. So the same thing in your commitment to being organized here. We want to get the timer out, get your kitchen timer out. I've just used my timer on my watch a number of times a day because I've been doing some washing. It's such a great way to use your timer, use your phone timer or a kitchen timer to keep you on task and make it achievable and doable. as I said, just 10 minutes. Let's just start for 10 minutes a couple of times a day to help us start with our decluttering. People often ask me, where do we start? And this is a perfect place to start, is just start in small amounts. I'm going to have to take my watch off in a minute. Someone is binging me and sending me messages like the messaging has gone out of business. So I'm taking my watch off, it's gone. And I can hear it binging. My apologies, I got distracted. Okay, so that is all about your commitment to being organized. We want to put the time in the diary, use our timer, and get things started here, and really be showing our commitment that we mean business here. We really want to change how we think about our paperwork and how we are going to sort it and make us get organized going forwards. Let's look at the chat before I go on. I'm just trying to quieten all these messages as well, because they are very annoying. It's my team. They're being awesome and doing work. Mary Lou, can you see if you can stop those bings somehow? I'm not sure if she can do it at her end. All right, let's have a look at Pat. Pat says, the digital email receipt from the hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's here in the US. That's awesome. So get your digital receipts. I love it. Has saved me immensely. I've used the email receipt for returns and exchanges. No problem. Sadly, it's because I never filed the emails away and they were still in my inbox. That's all good, Pat. We know, you know where it is. Those receipts are right there in your inbox. You can do a little search as well. Check out my digital decluttering for some ideas on emails. It's not about having a zero email box, just some simple ways that might make that easier. Please just excuse me, everybody. I really need to do something about this binging. I can't concentrate while it is binging in my ears. It's my team are sending messages to each other, which is very kind and very amazing, but it is driving me bananas. How can let me close that tab. That will help, I reckon. Okay, my apologies. Let's get back to it. I want to have my brain working and not, I think it literally would have gone off 30 times in the last couple of minutes, different replies that the team are sending to each other. Let me get back to this chats here. Thanks, Kim. She says, I have Doom boxes of paper. What's the best way of dealing with them? I'll have a look at that very shortly, Kim. Thank you for kickstarting us on those Doom boxes of paper. And thank you, Mary Lou. She has put the weekly planner there in the chat. So you can literally print it out and literally plan time to work on this. All right, let's look at step 3, sort the stuff. So here we go. We are going to start to tackle some of that stuff, Kim, as you just asked. So sort the stuff is about starting to put like items together. And in this step, a natural flow starts to happen as we begin this sorting progress. So we just want to get a handful of paper. I've got quite a pile here beside me. I could just get these top 3 pieces and start there. And then start to sort like with like. I've got a checklist here. I've got something that I need to do. And I've got some other things that need to do as well, which is some dates to go in the diary for my youngest son's school. So just start to sort them out. We're not getting rid of any of them now. We're not rummaging through a big pile. Like I do have a pile here beside me that I need to action soon. But I'm not sifting right through the bottom of that pile. We're just dealing with the ones that are on the top and start to put like pieces of paper together. So if I came across a electricity bill, I would start to put them together. This is a piece of paper here for my son. He's starting some new school in a couple of weeks. I would put that in his pile. I would put a pile of things for my son, Robbie. I've got a couple of bits of paper here, which these are junk mail. But I'm going to message these real estate agents who are selling homes in my area. And I'm going to say, if you need some help with your clients, so they need to declutter for sale, I'm going to contact these guys. So we start to sort into categories. Again, we're not deciding what to keep and what to let go here. We're just starting to put it into categories. And then we can go, oh, okay, well, I've got 10 of those, that same flyer from that particular real estate agent. And these guys, Ed, Abby, and David, they're all on that same flyer. I don't need all of those ones. So that would be a good place to start decluttering. We're not quite getting there yet, but that's the idea of putting all the like items together so that we can see what we've got. Rather than just a big pile of paper, we would have some smaller categories that then we can start to decide what to do now. Again, what we were doing, if we were just doing this for 10 minutes, we might just start on the top few pieces, as I said, of this sorting step, and then we could go through to the next step of the decluttering. I'm so glad I turned off those bings. They're still going. I can see them popping up on my phone. Got so much more concentration now. So this is a photo here of some sorted medical paperwork that I did for a client a few years ago. And here we were sorting them into particular specialists. There was some specialists this client went to see. So there's particular doctors. A couple of the piles were doctors, some general medical appointments, and then a lot of doctors. In this bottom right-hand corner pile is the health insurance statements to show that these things have been claimed from the person's health insurer, and they had already been actioned. So rather than the big pile that there was, we have these smaller piles that are easier to process from there. We knew that some of these piles did not need to be processed any further. They're pretty well ready to be filed. So the sorting step is so important. Seems a bit, boring, but I find it much easier to do this little in-between sorting step before we start to let anything go. Let me quickly look at the chat. Thanks, Kim. She says, what are some good general categories? Mine is too general and have to start again. If it sort of really depends on what you've got in your pile. Like if it was a medical pile like this, you could start to put your different doctors together. You could put the Medicare statements, the health insurance statements, referrals, any other important information, x-rays, sort of break it down into those categories. But if you're looking at the kids' paperwork, it might be here's all their grade 5 artwork, here's grade 6, this is grade 6 spelling words. You could have sort of little subcategories, but we don't want to make it too complicated either. We're just trying to break it down a little bit so it's a little bit more manageable, and not getting too bogged down in the categories. And you can make up whatever categories you want. And Kim, also, I can ask my friend ChatGPT for some other categories, ideas, and send them through this afternoon with the links as well to give you some ideas on how to break your paperwork down. So as I said, this is really just an in-between step to help us go from a big pile of stuff to a little bit more manageable, and then be able to move on with the decluttering step. All right, so let's look at this decluttering step, which is the 4th step, things you no longer need. So I would have liked to have called this step decluttering, but it didn't fit into the word SYSTEM into the 6 steps. So it is things you no longer need. So let's have a look at how can we start to let some of this stuff go now that we've got it sorted. A good way to help us decide what to keep and what to let go is to know what documents you need for tax purposes. So we have the Australian Taxation Office, ATO here in Australia. So you can go to their website and look up keeping tax records, and it would have some good guidelines, how long to keep it for, what sort of things that you need to keep for tax purposes. You know, you might have a water bill that's related to a property that you own. So you may need to hang on to that for your tax purposes. If you're not quite sure around tax and what sort of financial documents you need to hang on to, ask your accountant and get their idea. But you could easily find out from your tax office and your accountant to hear that business records we only need to keep for 7 years. Anything before that, you can let go. So that might be a good boundary to think, oh, okay, I'm only going to keep business records for 7 years. And there's personal boundaries as well based on tax. So that might just help you make the decision. Oh, this document here is the profit and loss statement from 2003. Almost 20 years ago. We don't need to keep that anymore. So you could either archive it if you run a large business yourself and you really think you might want to hang on to it just because, don't know why you might want to do that, but know the rules, I suppose. It will really help you put some boundaries around how long you're keeping documents for. All right, what about other ways to think about our paperwork so that we can let stuff go easier? Remember, we're talking about things you no longer need here. Can you scan or keep an electronic copy of the document rather than the physical paper copy? Or also, could you just find again by Googling it? And I'll raise you one there. I haven't updated my notes. Could you just recreate it using something like an AI word processing like ChatGPT? It might be a recipe that you found or you can't find because it's in your paperwork somewhere. You might just go to Google and look up the recipe again, or you might ask ChatGPT, write me a lamb Rogan Josh recipe and have it in an instant. Rather than worrying about the paper copies, we can often find what we need in the click of a finger by looking up on Google or recreating on ChatGPT. But if it is something that you think you will refer to later, scan it. You can even do scanning these days either on your home printer or use your phone. There's a lot of great scanning apps you can use on your phone and just take scans of the document, save it with a good name so that you can file it nicely and keep an electronic copy. Again, I'll refer to our digital decluttering session that we did the other week. At least with our digital files, we're not literally tripping over them. I'm talking today about clearing our spaces and making room for our important things that we want to do in our life, making it easier to find the important documents. And it will probably be easier finding things electronically as well. If you call it something good, put a few different phrases in the name of the document so that when you're searching for it, you can find it again rather than rummaging around in piles of paper. But this step is all about letting go of all that you can, and being able to find it again somewhere else if you do need to in the future, which you probably won't. That third point there is talking about that notes, like notes from university or notes that even my client notes, those sorts of things, are a part of the journey. They're a part of you learning. They're not the destination. So just thinking about university notes or reports that you wrote 30 years ago at school, you're probably not going to need them. It's probably out of date. You could find that type of information very easily again with some of the techniques I just spoke about a couple of minutes ago. So letting go of that sort of stuff can really free up space for those important things that you do want to reach for and be able to access easily. So, you know, the notes that you've taken are a part of the journey, not the actual destination. No, the notes don't necessarily need to be kept. And that last point there says, dictate important notes into electronic file. Excuse me. So this notebook, as I said here, is my work notebook. I write notes at clients' homes. But as soon as I get home, I open our customer database file on my phone in an app, and I dictate those notes straight into our CRM or our client relationship management database. And so if I ever do lose this notebook, it's not such a big deal. I've got them electronically. And you can dictate notes anywhere, anytime, rather than have pieces of paper. We can keep it electronically. It'll be easier to read rather than your handwriting, probably, and easier to search and find as well. So highly recommend electronic files and dictating important notes. So when you use your phone, you can Google online as to how to do this for your particular phone. But with the iPhone, if you open an email or even open a text message, the little microphone will come up in the bottom right-hand corner of the keyboard, and you just press that and you start talking, and it will do voice to text. And so you can take your squiggly notes from your notebook or wherever your squiggles are and turn them into a really nice electronic document that you can keep and file online, and again easily find by using those search phrases to find the documents. What are some other good ways that you use for letting go of paperwork? I'm thinking of kids' paperwork as well and schoolwork. I mentioned before that notes that we take at university or during the day are a part of the journey. Their artwork and their schoolwork is all a part of the journey as well. We don't need to keep everything that our child has ever squiggled on or used a paintbrush. Those pieces of artwork and those pieces of schoolwork are them learning how to use the scissors, how to use the paints, how to, get used to getting paint on their fingers. That's all a part of the journey of learning. But so the destination is them learning, not necessarily that piece of artwork or those spelling words that they wrote. We don't need to keep everything. Actually, I'm glad I told that story because I just remembered. This is what I keep each year for my boys. This is 2020. This is Charlie's work. It's got, well, the first thing I can see is all the lockdown dates here in Melbourne, which is not very exciting, but that's a record for them. It's got school photos, school reports, and then samples of their work. Again, not everything that they ever did in, this is grade 5 for Charlie. It's just got some nice little drawings and things. Again, not everything. And it's just put a boundary on it. This is all that we keep. If you have a look at decluttering keepsakes on our YouTube, I share the process as well about going through kids' artwork. What else was I going to say? There was something else about just keeping what we need, because the kids aren't going to want it. I've had clients say to me, I wish my mum didn't keep all the birthday cards I ever owned. I wish she didn't keep this, and I wish she didn't keep that, because now I've got it and now it's a burden. So just being really thoughtful about what we're keeping, and let things go as much as we can. Let's have a look at the chat and see if any other people have got ideas. MJ says, I use the transparent slip folder to keep the category together, then sort them monthly to discard. One folder for medical, one for general expenses, one for utilities, insurance, registration, limiting to no more than 10 folders. I love it. So is that the plastic pockets, MJ? Have a folder with pockets in it, put things in during the month, and then be able to discard it after a little bit of time. I love it. Keeps it in a boundary, easy to find. She's got some good categories there of what to be able to find. Easily just put your hand out and grab those little folders that you've put together. Well done. Love it. Fam says, I scan documents to keep and file them. I love it. Hi, Philippa. Thanks for your comment. On my iPhone, I've just set up a shortcut to log expenses for someone I care for when I'm out, and dictate notes with minimum friction. I asked ChatGPT how to set it up. I love it. So yeah, notes on your phone. So the little program or little app called Notes on your phone, to be able to keep information in there. Shortcut to that, log the expenses, so you're not having bits of paper and receipts and everything. Philippa, I love it. Sonia says, I have a subscription to Evernote for paper copies that I need to keep. I can access it from wherever. I scan and save many important documents there. It is also good to have a backup in case you need to evacuate. I live in an area that is prone to hurricanes and floods. I also store scanned copies of old photos and family memories. I've seen many stories of people losing wedding photos and baby photos in natural disasters. I love it. So scan things and keep it in a central location. And in this point, Sonia is using Evernote. I love that. And thanks, Jessica. Hi, one of my awesome team members. Thanks for coming. I reuse the reader zip up pockets that come home at the end of the school year and write the year on the front of it and keep all the documents. I love that, Jess. So you're recycling. The kids have a take home folder here that they bring their reading materials home in. So reuse that, write the year on it and just keep that. And Kim says that's a great idea too. Jess also says, I use notes on my phone for anything I need to write down when I'm on the go. And then when I have time, transfer it into my diary and delete it off. Awesome. I knew you were on my team for a reason, Jess. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much. So there's some great ways there of reducing the amount of paper that we are keeping with some of those awesome techniques. Thank you. Let me whiz on to easy storage. Yeah, doing good for time though. I better keep moving. Easy storage. So this is all about setting up permanent homes for our paperwork so that it's easy to be able to find what you want and easy to file it, or otherwise it's not going to get done. I've worked with many homes, and the one that I was in yesterday filing kids' paperwork, that the storage of stuff is often up out the road, and that's okay for Christmas decorations that we use once a year. But even with things like this, the kids' paperwork that's coming in, I would have an in tray on my desk here to be able to keep those things for the semester, and then after the semester I would put it in where would I put it? In these folders that I just showed you one of, and then it goes to store them. But if you've got to get up on a ladder, and I did have to help my client yesterday bring the box down, so she needed another person to help her. We're talking about filing of kids' artwork. If it's not easy, you won't do it. So this is easy storage for your stuff. A few things about easy storage. Firstly, before we started this session, I didn't say go to Kmart and buy $300 worth of folders and tubs to store your paperwork. The idea is let's have less, let's sort it, let's declutter. Now we have less, now we know the amount of stuff that we have, and we can then decide, all right, we've got medical files. What's going to be the best way for us to keep our paperwork for you and your family? MJ shared before about the plastic pockets that she uses, the folders, up to 10 folders, she says, no more than that, to keep important, current documents in. Would that work for you? Or would you prefer the good old-fashioned filing cabinet or electronic like we've been talking about? Or maybe a box with the year on it? I'll tell you a funny story about that in a moment. Filing doesn't need to be complicated, but it needs to be easy so that you can do it. And I highly think we should just file it as soon as it's done. I don't believe in having an in tray. If you've set up your filing well and where you're going to store your paperwork, it should be a matter of grabbing that folder, putting it back in, opening the filing cabinet, dropping it straight in. Rather than let it pile and pile up, let's make it nice and easy to put things in their permanent homes by setting up our storage well. So there's just a few ideas for storing paperwork. The box on the left, I got the idea from a client of mine. She had a number of investment properties. So each property had the name of the property on the sort of lid area, and then all of that information would go into that box ready to give to the accountant. So that was nice and easy. And I giggled as I was telling you the story just a second ago about a box with the year on it for putting documents in. I once had a person that sent me a message on Messenger to say they were unfollowing me on Facebook because how could I possibly suggest that you file paperwork in a box? I thanked her, and I think that that's a fair point. It's not going to work for everybody, but maybe it's good enough for you. If you've got so much going on, if you're caring for somebody, if somebody's sick at home, you're just running around in circles, maybe a box is better than it all over the house. I literally see paperwork in every corner of people's homes, in the toilet, in the laundry, everywhere. So at least if you had it all in one box, it's a very good start. I almost swore then. It's a very good start. So, but again, we're finding the storage system that's going to work for you. This is all about setting up permanent homes. So what's going to work for you to store those medical paperwork? Where's it going to be good for you to put the kids' artwork that you are keeping? Where would you like to put your notes from the Spanish class that you went to last week? Where are you going to keep your exercise or your physio exercises? What is going to work for you? Here's some more options. Easy storage for your stuff, just these little folders with the indexes might work for you. Or you might like drop files. Or on the left here, sort of makes me think of what MJ has set up at home. These display folder, I think they're probably called. They have plastic pockets in. You just drop the information in based on whatever categories you have around the home. All right, a million different ways to store things. Let me look at the chat and see other people's awesome ideas. Let's scroll. Yeah, great. Thanks, Jess. She shared, I see what you're saying. Shared the plastic pocket that she keeps the kids' work in each year. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. You need to send Mary Lou these photos so we can put them on our socials. So good. And she also says, I've been trying to work out the best way for ours. My filing shelf is above my height. I had a section plastic pocket set up, but I find I just tiptoe reach to the receipts. So they're just a little bit too high up by the sound of it. Yeah, trying to streamline it now. Philippa says, if you decide to scan documents like FAM and Sonia, I wonder if it's difficult to scan the document a decent quality. Do you have photos scanned professionally or on your phone? That's a really good idea. You can find people, Philippa, that will do it for you professionally, but it depends how you want to do it. Some of the home scanners like printer scanner, multifunction documents feeders that we have these days do have pretty good quality. Or maybe you just want to have it as a bit of a backup on your phone and just take a photo. Depends what you want to do with these documents that you are keeping. As I said, there are other apps for scanning documents, like there is an Evernote one as well for scanning. Lots of good ones, and they do a good job. But again, how good a quality do you need? And figuring it out for that. Let me keep on moving. Thanks, Jess, for sharing your paperwork there. That's very good of you. Looking at the plastic pockets for each year and the things that she's still working on. Thank you. And I use the function scanner of the printer. Thanks, Pam. That's good to know. So I've got a little multifunction color laser jet beside me as well that's got scanning on it. And Jess says, yep, I think accessibility might be the issue. So we're talking about easy storage. Make it easy for you to put things away. MJ says, when hubby constantly went into hospital, I just grabbed the medical folder for the doctors and nurses to reference. And I can't possibly remember the things when I'm emotional and worried about it. MJ, it's a great one. Like the person was saying before about grabbing something and getting out of the place. If there's a hurricane, you're in a similar situation, emergency situation, needing to take things to the hospital, which would include probably medicines and those sorts of things. People have seen about the different conditions. Great to have it just right there in a folder, easy to grab. Thanks, Jess. She also says, best bedside table at my height will be the new home for your tax things. Good on you. She's sharing different storage ideas. Thank you so much for all of those ideas. It's really helpful to see what works for other people. So how can we maintain all of this? This is a real snapshot, quick, easy. If you need help with all of this afterwards, let me know, or come along to another session, or find the YouTube recording that we'll send out this afternoon and re-listen to it. Ask us if we've got any questions. So the last step here is maintenance. The idea is to file our paperwork straight away. So we've got something nice and easy to file it into, like this concertina file. Get it off the desk, stop those piles from getting bigger, and really try and action what you can now, rather than, don't put it down, put it away. And we also spoke about diarising time each week to action the to-dos that are in your in tray. Again, get that weekly planner out, put it in your Google Calendar, put it in your diary, schedule the time to work on the backlog, which is your piles of paper, but also those to-dos so that they don't keep mounting up. And also know yourself. Choose the time of day that suits your energy. Don't ask me to do anything past 8:30 at night. I get up at 5:30 in the morning, so I like to go to bed nice and early. So I would not be filing paperwork late at night. But if you are a night owl, maybe you might like to do something around that and a little bit later in the day, but please don't do it all night. Put your timer on. Remember what Jerry Seinfeld said, you can't be doing that personal training session all night. Give yourself a time limit. And then periodically revisit all of these steps to keep things in order. Like if things do seem like they're piling up again, think about how are they finding their way through the front door? How can I sort this? How can I let more and more go? Set up your boundaries, check your obligations for tax purposes and those sorts of things. and stay committed to the process. So doing things what organized people do, which is actioning them as they come in, getting them off your to-do list, not even getting them on your to-do list at all, and filing it straight away. I know we do have a million things that we are doing each and every day, but I would really like you to have being organized and decluttering and organizing as a priority and making time to be doing it each and every day. What little habits do you do to keep up with your paperwork? Would love you to share that. What's a new habit as well that you might try after we have spoken about it today? So today we looked at creating a system for processing your incoming paperwork. Again, it's just been a real quick overview of it. It's been an hour, but time flies. So we were reviewing what's coming in. We unsubscribed to as much as we could. We automate things as much as we can, like have our bills paid automatically so that we're not having to get the piece of paper and then make the payment. See if we can get those direct debits set up. Consider as long as your finances can, that works for you. We sorted like items together. So we sorted the things into categories. We set up storage of the permanent homes so it's easy to retrieve and also easy to file. Jess was just saying that maybe the filing spot that she's got to put things is not working. She might need to bring it down a bit lower so she can actually reach it. And to be doing this sort of thing each and every day, even if it's just 2 or 3 minutes in a day, making time to be organized. So our session in 2 weeks' time is tackling doom boxes. So Kim asked about tackling those piles. We've given some ideas on getting started today. We'll delve into it even more in 2 weeks. So doom boxes is those boxes that you quickly put together. Somebody's coming over for dinner, quickly clear off the dining room table. We're going to be looking at tackling some of those doom boxes. As a thank you for coming along today, I'd love to have a 15-minute chat to you. Send me an email, julie@spaceandtime.com.au. We'd love to have a chat on Zoom so we can set up your decluttering for your paperwork. Send us a note, and Mary Lou has also put the link in to just get in there and book it. Thank you for that. Let me stop my share and check the last of the chat. Jess says, let's have a look. What did Jess say? Books I don't read can go higher. Good idea. If you're not reading at the moment, tweak your filing and your storage. Sounds good. Mary Lou, thanks for the Doom box link there. Come along to our next session. Then there's a link there if you would like to book your 15-minute clarity call. Send us an email. Pam says, I keep our filing folders on a bottom shelf. Nice and easy to get to. Sonia says, I have Scan Snap. Thank you for sharing that. It's a high-speed scanner that offers great quality if you have multiple documents. However, most of the newer phones have good quality scanning of written documents. I use a scanning app on my phone, Adobe Evernote Scanner. These are the ones that I've used, but there are many. Thanks, Sonia. We will put some of those ideas in the summary that we'll send out today so that others can look at those ones. They are great. And yeah, thank you all for coming. It's 11 o'clock. How good is that? If you've got any other questions that we missed today, send me an email. But I am just going to save the chat as well so that I don't, so I capture all that good stuff. We'll put it in a little email and share it with everyone today. As I said, if I missed anything today, please send me an email and ask me. And Philippa says, motivated to set up a scanning workflow and stop more paperwork. Alice says, we'll start with a sort and go from there. Fantastic. I love that. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And yeah, have fun with your paperwork decluttering. You're welcome, Pat. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Mary Lou.